Okay, students, we'll go to our groups now. Group 1 will be with the temperature probe inside of the greenhouse, and group number 2 will be without it. They'll both be recorded for 30 minutes. Every minute there will be a new reading taken, and we'll come back after every 10 minutes to see what's happened. Get to your groups and take out your worksheets to start working on them. Okay, group 1. Oh, I can see there's a rise in temperature, slight rise, and then it maintains itself. Do you have any ideas of why that rising would happen with that temperature? Okay, let's come back in about 10 minutes and see what else we've observed as time moves on. Okay, group 1, you're within 20 minutes of the lab, and as you can see, there's an increase and then a constant with the temperature. Can anyone have any ideas of why this initial rise and then it remains constant happens? Maria? Yes, I've seen you having a conversation with Wayne. And that has to do with, what do you think? Yes, the heat gets trapped inside the little greenhouse. And the temperatures then rise. And then the sensor shows us that. Good, good. So let's keep watching for about another 10 minutes. And then we'll move on to group 2, which will have the temperature probe outside. Okay, so now with the conclusion of our lab, group 1, you can see the increase in temperature and then pretty constant. It remains long. So now we're going to go to group 2, which is going to take the temperature probe outside of the greenhouse and see what their results have come up with. Okay, so now let's see what lab group number 2 has with their temperature probe, which is going to be outside of the greenhouse. And we'll collect that data for the same amount of time, 30 minutes, in 1-minute intervals. So let's get into our groups. Okay, so one of the things that we're observing here as a temperature probe is outside of the greenhouse now, in group 2, is that our temperatures are pretty much remaining constant, it looks like. Group 2, don't you think? Why do we think that possibly that would happen? I mean, the same direct sunlight is hitting it. What's the difference from between inside and outside of the greenhouse? Joe? You've been working with Sheila? What are your conclusions? Does it match your original hypothesis? Yes. The plastic was trapping the rays and the heat inside of the greenhouse. And now since the probe is outside, it has more air to dissipate into. Very good. Okay, we're within the first 10 minutes. Let's check back after 20 minutes. Okay, so now we come back at 20 minutes. And what we've seen from the beginning and to 2/3 of the way through, Leah, could you explain to me what we're seeing here? Yes, that's correct. From the temperature it started out at, there was a gradual dip and consistency, but you're not seeing that sharp rise and then a dip to remain consistency from inside the greenhouse. Okay, so as we continue on, we're going to start to develop some ideas about the differences that we've seen with the temperature probe inside of the greenhouse and the probe outside of the greenhouse. Very good. Nice job. Okay. So, as we can see, that drop in temperature, very slight, and then a continuation of what the temperature is. Okay, so that would be the difference between the temperature probe inside and outside of the greenhouse. Okay, so do you think that this phenomenon and this experiment is similar to artificial greenhouse effect that happens on Earth? Do you think it's the same? Different? Okay, group 2, very good, very good. Yeah, the temperature just dissipated out, yes, from without being in the greenhouse, and the same thing with the Earth. We do need that on the Earth. We need to have that greenhouse effect. It's just that the amount of it has grown twofold or more with the gases that are produced, CO2 primarily, mostly from human consumption. That's where most of it comes from. So we're going to look at the numbers. We'll do some math, the differences between the greenhouse with the probe inside and outside, see what we come up with. And in conclusion, I'd like you to look at this experiment and see what you can come up with an answer about what you observed during the experiment. Is there any consequences that possibly that we could happen to us as humans on Earth if that effect starts to grow and gets worse than what it already is? I mean, where could we come up with some of the conclusions to see that our experiment is correct? Did we do everything properly? We could use the library, that's correct. We could look into our scholarly research and find some articles and some experiments and trials that have been done. Very good. So the concluding paragraph is that would be something that you could do for homework. And now we're going to just clean up and conclude our experiment. Thank you.